Good morning, afternoon, good night, etc., etc. I'm Jack Stern, and welcome to the Rec Center, your place for the latest and greatest hip-hop from today and yesterday. Today I'm going to be looking at the latest record from Tyler, the Creator, Flowerboy. Now, my first thought going into this album was, what is there really to say about Tyler that hasn't already been said before? I've always thought Tyler had a real sense of creativity and was definitely one of the more unique and talented members to come out of Odd Future. Unfortunately, though, I always felt like he lacked the guidance and restraint to really elevate that talent to the next level. Not only that, but he's never really moved past his juvenile humor of his Odd Future days like a lot of the other higher profile members of that group have. He seemed like he was making a genuine effort to expand his musical palette on his last album, Cherry Bomb, sort of delving into elements of jazz and noise rap. But ultimately, though, I couldn't look past the obvious shortcomings that album had in terms of its production and a lot of its whack lyrics. Flowerboy, in terms of career moves, though, is like a 180-degree U-turn in one of those high-speed McLarens that Tyler is so fond of. He answers my initial question about this album by just adding depth to every aspect of his musical process here. The basic outline of this album can kind of be summed up as like a juxtaposition between the harder side of Tyler and the softer side of Tyler. And believe it, we're getting more of the softer side of Tyler than we ever have before on this album. The instrumentals are really pretty and elated, and I think they sound really good whenever they bounce off of Tyler's gruff voice and a lot of his really frantic flows. I really like that contrast on the double track 911/Mr. Lonely. This instrumental, with all of its melodic synths, is just uncharacteristically smooth. Tyler just totally ups the ante in terms of his delivery and his flows, and his wordplay is really quotable without sounding corny. I think Tyler actually did a really great job of painting an entertaining picture of his own loneliness on this track. Like, there's a bunch of great lyrics about how he's buying all these material possessions to like fill a void in his life, and stuff about how he wants someone to just dial 911 so he can like come to their rescue. And the beat switch ups the tempo on the song, and Tyler totally matches it and just owns the track. I would have never thought of Tyler as a rapper with any technical prowess before this album, but he really holds his own here. Another thing that makes this track so addictive amongst others is how effective the guest features are. Steve Lacy from the group The Internet just makes a really great breakout performance on the chorus and the bridge here. And then you've got Anna of the North's great ad-libs where she's like, ring, ring. Oh my god, so good, so good. Then, as if the song couldn't get any better, you've got a great verse from Frank Ocean talking about the burbs and the birds. It's great stuff. The strides Tyler makes in terms of songwriting and song structure is really what sells this album as a whole for me. The track with the biggest media hoopla has been Garden Shed. Lyrically, Tyler discusses themes of reluctancy and forbidden desires here. The song starts off with all these airy synths and then this guitar part that kind of invokes some desert imagery. Then Tyler comes in with this really catchy and fast-paced verse that makes this song a complete home run to me. And the lyrics here seem to be a confession that Tyler's like coming out of the closet, or perhaps the garden shed if you want to stay in line with all this flower imagery he's got going on here. He layers the metaphor of the garden shed for the garçons, which is the French word for the boys actually, on top of other bars about hiding his location, thinking this was just a phase, and some more about how his friends never seem to pick up on the signs he drops. It's probably the deepest song that I've heard from Tyler so far. He's not just focusing on telling wacky jokes or telling some weird narrative. And there's a lot of great points on this album where Tyler confronts like simple topics and he just really nails it because he gets personal and on like a more down-to-earth level with you. The song Boredom is a simple song and it's just about boredom. Tyler applies his own emotions and what's going on in his life and really captures the essence of what it means to be bored here. Then you've got the song November where Tyler uses the month of November as like a metaphor for points of nostalgia in our life. Other tracks like See You Again also tackle that idea of unrequited love. I just love the progression of this song from its xylophones and string section to the really sweeping middle part where Tyler's verse comes crashing into the drum beat. I even more so enjoyed the earnestness of Kali Uchis's part on her chorus with Tyler where she's just earnestly asking for a kiss before leaving. Another pleasant surprise to me about this album is how often Tyler can really hang in there when he's singing on a lot of these hooks. Glitter is probably one of the strongest examples of this, as he uses voice modulation to go high and low to sort of match the tonal changes of the song. The production is really shimmering and it just adds to the really glowing feel of the album. Tyler knows when he needs to use his traditionally edgy voice and when he needs to kind of dial things back for a more somber moment. And moments are the things that really grab me about this album. I mean, there are just so many catchy hooks and just little melodies and stuff that just grab you and just surprise you again and again here. The only thing really lacking about this album to me, and believe me, this is a pretty nitpicky complaint, is the fact that some of the more traditional banger type tracks, they just don't really stay stuck in my head as much compared to some of the more somber tracks. A$AP Rocky has some great chemistry on the song Who Dat Boy with Tyler, and the song I Ain't Got Time shows Tyler at his most hungry on the mic, with a really eclectic sounding beat too. Now these songs are easily above the level of production and lyrics in a lot of your traditional hip hop bangers, but when compared to a lot of the other more emotional songs on this album, I just don't find them as replayable. I mean, these songs are like what Tyler usually does with his music, but on a much grander scale. which again plays into that idea of how Tyler's like progressing on all fronts on this album. So like really that's kind of a non-complaint. Like I struggled to find a lot of serious flaws on this album. It just really grabbed me on all fronts, and I feel like it's easily one of the better hip-hop projects of the year for sure. And definitely the album I always felt like Tyler was capable of making. This album's going to be a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Definitely a must for this year. And with that wrapped up, let's go to an outro.